season 2 got to be better than season 1. That's all I'm saying. Season 2 got to be better than season 1. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Never mind. Are we live? What are we doing?
Yes, we're live, sir.
We're not doing all.
Doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family? Because we only can take care of us. Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, if you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? Good to be back. Good to see you again. Season number 2 is on and popping. Yeah.
He take 1 week off, and now it's season 2. All right.
It was. You know what? I'm done.
Hey, so how's life been treating you?
Life has been treating us okay for the most part. It's been cool, you know. It's coming down to the end of the year. You know, you're winding down or whatever like that. We're not winding down, but yeah, winding down and thinking about what's happening next year, or whatever like that. You know, trying to get yourself together and everything. You're getting older. God knows you're getting older, man.
It always seems to be something, man. And listen, each week we come back to the show, it's always something else. You know, we last talked. It was first it was Shannon, then it was Puffy. Now it's the hurricanes. Now it's the crazy elections. There was always something every week. Like, man, I guess we got to be grateful, you know, to be healthy, to be alive, and you know, to have all our faculties. You know, we gotta be in good spirits. All things.
I mean, I suppose. I guess. Yeah.
All right, people.
Yeah.
Today we are talking on the topic of contingent upon. I know you're thinking, what does that mean? Basically, in short, contingent upon, let's just say, you know, you go for that job interview, you think it goes really well, and you get off the phone saying, I think I really aced that. You thinking the connection was made. But then that employer will say, everything went great, but we just have a few due diligence items on our side that we need to take care of. And if all things are well, then we can move forward. That's an example of a contingency. It's saying in so many words, if this background shakes out, if this reference shakes out, if anything unforeseeable, somebody doesn't throw a bone in on your reference, maybe we can move forward, right? And so in the relational world, we approach people and we come on the scene with whatever we have in our backpacks of life. And we open and we don't even open them up. We kind of pull the zip open just a tid smidget, right? And then what it appears is happening nowadays is we are expecting maximum effort with having only given minimum of us. It's like the less we can give and receive the most is what we're actually looking for. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looks like. I don't want to expend a bunch of myself, or better yet, I don't want to take too much of a risk, but I am here for it because I do want something out of it. But in my mind, I need for you to do more of the giving, whether that's the man or the woman. I need you to do more of the showing, more of the securing, more of making me comfortable, more of making me feel you're not playing in my face, as we say nowadays, and all of those things. And so me personally, before we get to going down the road, I personally think, and you alluded to this earlier, Adam, that it really, both parties have to be comfortable in order to really give that rock solid maximum effort. No one really wants to no one wants to start a relationship like they're in Vegas. You know, they're going up to the crap table and it's just a gamble. I think I can play this game well enough to win. And we know in most cases the house wins. So yeah, so you got to think about it like that. So if you doesn't mind, sir, do you have thank you. Jesus.
Whatever, bro. Whatever, man. Anyway, so we're going to read today's summary. Here we go. The matching of energy is today's conversation checkmate regarding relationships, with the forerunner being the concept of an actual fair exchange, where both sides see an equal buy-in of effort to keep the ship afloat. In other words, until I see what I need to see from you and receive what I need to receive from you, I will withhold the better parts of me, and in some cases, even exclusivity. Gone are the days of being extended a line of credit where you are given enough rope to either hang yourself or free it. What am I saying? Any and everything you receive by way of a relationship nowadays is strongly contingent upon a reciprocal action. The question begs, are we allowing our pain to dictate the path forward? Are we hearing our unhealed traumas as opposed to our ears? Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned courtship, where one party was just as eager as the other to move forward in the most healthy and intentional way? There we
have. All right, on tonight.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ford, you know, let's sit at the man's feet for a second. You know, the wisdom man. You know. Anyway, the question we have is this. If you can dig back into your life, this isn't just your interview, I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah.
When you entered into relationships, or let's just say you were just meeting the person, or that whole exchange of moving things along, even if you're calling yourself in the phase of dating one another, you're dating exclusive. Did you feel as though there were times that you may have proceeded, but you proceeded like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you this 20% and hold that 80% way over there just in case you want some foolishness? You understand what I'm saying?
You said I want some foolishness.
Yeah, you just want some foolishness.
So I don't think any of us who go into relationships, at least I hope, now thinking about people nowadays, I don't know. So I never went into a relationship withholding anything. That's not the way I do my life. I don't live my life withholding or just in case, type situations, because I think when you do that, you actually get what you expect to receive. So if you're going in thinking that this is not going to work, more than likely it's probably not going to work, because in your mind, it's not going to work. And so you go in thinking, well, this is the way I expected it to be. So I never walk into relationships with that type of expectation. I try to walk into relationships giving my full 100 in terms of, whatever it is that I have, I'm willing to give it. Now, having said that, I also understand that going into relationships, there is a degree of risk, because whenever I put myself out there, the expectation is, yes, I hope they do return the feeling. I hope they do return the investment. I hope they do. but I don't have anything that guarantees that. I don't have anything that actually says with all certainty that they actually are going to return what I've given. Now, the expectation is that, yes, they should respond. Yes, they should also go in as much as I'm going in. But it doesn't always work out like that. So I guess my thing would be, should I not go into the situation giving 100? Should I withhold in the hopes that I see a return that makes me want to give 100? Or should I just play it safe and be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to play my cards close to the vest. I'm not going to allow anybody to see who I really am. I'm not going to give up my all. Again, it's a risk that you either will or won't take, and you have to determine whether or not you have enough to lose at this particular point in time.
That's a good point. I mean, listen. Excuse me. I look at it like this. If we're honest, I feel as though, like if I were to just look at the world as a whole and the state of everyone sort of being in a position to desire love, want a lasting relationship, you could probably find a lot of people that will say, yes, that's what I want. But in reality, there is a ton of people who have been, for lack of better words, depleted. Like they have tried a little bit of everything, right? And they have not came out on the victorious side. Some relationships may have almost got to the front steps of the chapel. Some relationships, we made it to the engagement. Some relationships, you got to meet my whole family. I introduced everybody to you. All of those things, right? That come. And then at some point, we get stopped short. And when we get stopped short, people walk away feeling a myriad of ways. Some people walk away and they can be like, you know, they got the kind of friend circle that say, man, a dude's or a woman will tell you the best way to get over is to hurry up and get under. So people go running to look for someone else and say, I can have another you in 2 or 3 minutes, and there you go. And then people do that. And then you have people that I have met people over time that I could tell from talking to them. Like, I like what you said about holding something close to the vest. You can tell when a person is holding resentment from a past relationship close to the vest, right? There, you can talk to them, and it's almost just like they're like, okay, because I'm human, and because I want human reaction, and because I want another person in my life, I'll let you enter. I'll entertain you, but I'm not really going to give much of myself because it hasn't worked out for me in the past. So as a result, I'm here physically, but I'm really not here emotionally. I'm here with you, but I'm not really up for the risk. If you're going to, I need you to really, really, really show and prove before I'm able to really give anything of myself of substance. And so when I thought about this this morning when I was waking up, I thought about it like I said, listen, if you look at the relationship or the dating scenario, I always say to say it like a vehicle, like as if it's a vehicle. And we got to look at it like this. Basically, if the relationship doesn't move and if the wheels are going nowhere, it's one or two things are happening. Either the vehicle, the relationship is out of fuel, quote unquote, right? It's ran out of what it needs to go forward. Or there is a malfunction with the wheels. You got a flat, it's broken, it's something. Either way, it requires attention to it. The two of you all got to say, this isn't moving. Something is broken. Something is exhausted. What is that? And then you got to sit down and say, because, I'm just a firm believer in as much as we can live in denial and not want to face certain things. When things don't roll, they're not just not rolling for no reason. They're rolling because there is something stalled in that relationship that has not been addressed, right? That's why it's not moving. And so in a lot of cases, it may be one person. It may be, and what I have learned is don't assume that it's not the other person too, right? So the other person can be waiting for you to say, this isn't working, right? They're just waiting for you to say it, right? Or they're waiting for you to address it. Yeah. Maybe one or the other. And sometimes being the man, I know women most of the times will defer to say, well, you knew it wasn't working either. You didn't say anything. You're the man. That's going to be a whole nother show on itself. I can't even wait to do that. But anyway, yeah, so you got all that kind of stuff because, that stuff happens. But, I just, if I'm just talking from what I have seen, I literally see, I have encountered a lot of people, heck, even including myself. I have been in damaged situations. I have approached situations damaged, right? Where most of us, we can lie all we want to, but we still want relationship, damaged or not. You still don't want to be alone, right? So you don't want to be alone, and we don't honestly gauge our level of ready adequately. So we just show up and we just like, yeah, I'm back out here on the scene. But truthfully, if you are in a position that you are going to rob the other person, and when I say rob the other person, there's a few ways you can do it. Not giving of yourself, not really, really giving attention, not yet really, really giving communication, full of attitude, anguish, easily irritated. No, that's a big thing. When people, I was talking to the barber guy earlier, and he was sharing with me, I noticed his total demeanor was off today. So we were talking, I said, "You good?" And he kept saying, "Man, I just don't know. I know I need to go. I just need to leave her alone." And I was just like, so he opened it up right there. And so, by the time the haircut was over, I said, "You need to pay me." But anyway, so he talked to the thing. But what he was saying to me was, there was all of these things. He rambled off all of these things he didn't like. And then he rambled off all the things he did. He talked about how he does for her, how, he was real humble about it. He said, before we got this place, or I guess she must have got the place in her name.
Right.
He said for a year, they stayed in a hotel. He said, I got this hotel and I paid everything. He said, I would go cut my hair and made sure she ate. Her and her daughter ate. She had an 8-year-old daughter. He made sure they were good. And then he said, but when we moved into this apartment, it became her place. All the comments were like, well, this is my place. And he's resentful about it because he's like, wait, I was here for you 1,000% in our humble place. But now that you're a little comfortable, now you want to keep throwing in our arguments that it's your place. And then he talks about a lot how he mentioned not trusting her. He mentioned feeling like she keeps certain things from him. And so I said, stop for a minute, because you rambling off a lot of things. But I said, but have you brought up these charges? Like, have you said to her how they make you feel?
Right.
He said, well, not really, man, because, he was honest. He said, I love her. He said, I love her. So I said, so you feeling a way, but you don't really want to be done with her. And he got quiet. I said, you feeling a way, but you don't want to be done. So you have to find a way to be okay in that space until you've had enough. Because if you're not going to just leave based off what you told me, which a lot of things could sound like reason I told him, because he said, yeah, I'm going to go and just get me this. And I said, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody, and I said, this can go over whoever's head or don't agree. But I said, as a man, it is, I don't care if you got a shoebox of a room, have something for yourself. You can entertain her, go see her still, but don't negate what you have to kind of make something work or be what you need to be to her if you can't stand on your own. Because I said, you know what that's going to do? He said, because he what concerned me, he said, because if I had somewhere else to go, I would leave. And so I said, so wait, hold on. This is a couple of things you're throwing at me. I said, so let's start with the first step. You need to find a place to live. I said, I don't care if it is a studio. Get your own place. It's going to make you feel loads better, right? You're going to feel much better. You're not going to have to deal, with all of that. And I said, and to be honest, sometimes when women act this way, I said, it's a couple of things. I'm going to give you both sides of it. Sometimes women will respond in a way that's less desirable to a man. It's because they're not in a position to look at him with the most respect. We as men, it's sad to say, but sometimes we got to earn our respect. And so in the case of him, if you are living, I don't care if you're paying for things and doing all these things, it's hers. She got it. So at the end of the day, she's looking at you. This is why, listen, I've heard a ton of men, Adam, they'll say, oh man, you better always get yourself a place, get your own place, because if you live with a woman, you are one argument away from homelessness. That's what they always will say. Men will always say, if you are living with a woman, you one argument away from her saying, you know what, you can just leave. Matter of fact, all your stuff is on the front. Don't come back. And so my point is, what I'm saying is, I felt so bad for him today. I was like, dang. So I almost wanted to say, just get this room over here. But anyway, I was like, you don't have to live like this, man. Get yourself a place. I said, let's just start there. Find a place. I said, because this right here is chaotic. And if you keep it up, this is not going to be, going to be a good situation. I was like, you got to start there. But, it's a sad thing, but no one wants to live somewhere or be somewhere where you feel you have to be because of circumstances, but you're receiving way, way less treatment than you deserve. No one wants to be in a situation like that.
I mean, dude, that is so rough.
That was sad, man.
That is so rough. I mean, like, so I guess, man, so his situation is really bad because obviously they never had conversations from the beginning as to what the intention of the relationship was. Yeah. Whether or not if we're both going to be in this, or how much are you going to give? How much am I going to have to do? What is your percentage of this whole situation? Because if you walked into it, here's the thing. If they both walked into the same place at the same time, and he's paying the bills, and she's claiming it as hers, but she's not, there's no mutual appreciation between the two of them. Yeah. It's so lopsided. Yeah. That is so inequitable, because the fact of the matter is we're both in this relationship. Yeah. It's both of us in this together. It's supposed to be, right? So my thing is, dude, you need to get your stuff. Okay, so if I was in the street, but if I was in the street, y'all need to pack your bags. Whose name is on the lease, Charles? Whose name is on the lease on it?
He made it seem like, from what I got out of it, and the fact of him saying he was going to look for a place, it's probably in her name. Because if it's in both of our names, we're not going to have that argument of my house, your house. It's going to be our house. So it must be in her name. Yeah.
So he need to pack up his crap, and he need to hit.
For sure. Just straight up. That's it.
I'm saying,
let's start there. Let's start. And you know the sad thing about it, because I'm looking at one of the comments. Marlena says, she said, I wonder how honest he was with you. This is what I will say. I have been going and seeing this guy probably the last maybe 4 weeks or so. Each week I'm in his chair, he talks about his woman. Either he talks about her, or he's texting her, she's calling him. Now, here's the trip part about it. The dude is from Alabama, great personality, funny guy. He's kind of like, street dude, but good people. You get good vibe from him. So my point is, when I'm listening to him talk, he's like, he'll be saying, if he's on the phone with her when he's cutting my hair, you gonna bring me some food? Well, I'll bring you some. What you gonna go by there and pick up? Go over there and get the food. You know, we like that. So it's like they have this thing that works. But then he came in today, it was total 360. And I think it had started from the previous week when his woman was on a cruise. He probably saying, "You just telling all my business." Anyway, his woman was on a cruise. We out here now. He asked me for the help, so we out here. So his woman was on a cruise, and she went on a cruise with her mother, her mother's boyfriend, and I guess I don't know who else. But I was wondering why he felt a way about it, and he felt like he said he was trying to say, "I wouldn't have win if she asked me anyway." But I was like, "You hurt that she didn't invite you on the cruise." And so he was feeling like whether I had to work or not, he said it would have been nice to be thought of, to think that I don't need a vacation. Like I couldn't go as well. So, he said, I'm here doing all this stuff for her. And she just going up and go on this trip and just be, and then go on a trip and be, acting all, so sparing communication. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to say, no, you sure there was nobody else on the trip? But I didn't want to bother. I didn't want to get his mind going. I left it alone. But the point was, that's what my mind was thinking. But I was just thinking, because sometimes it's not beyond families to know who the person is in the family. Allow someone to go on a trip and be like, who is this? This is Peter. This is my new friend because such and such. He's just toxic for me. And families will fake embrace the person. And they know that you got another person, but will embrace this new person in the moment, right? Okay. And so, I didn't add to that. I didn't want to get his mind all in the left field. Right. But I felt as though he talked about that thing so much during that haircut. And then he brought it up again today. And I was like, man, you got some resentment, man. That's why I was just like, first things first, get that place. And then I said, I'm not even going to try to tell you to leave her alone, because I don't believe in telling people unrealistic advice that they're not going to take. Why tell him to leave him alone when I clearly can tell he loves her? So you're going to have to work that out however you want to work it out, because there is no better advice than having the lesson of your life taught to you right in your face. Right. You need to know the lesson for yourself and understand what the things of it are. If not, you're going to stay right there, keep going, keep dealing with the person. And next thing you know, here goes 10, 15 years and it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I'm going to say this, and it's going to seem a little harsh. It's going to seem a little mean. But I'm coming from a place where I used to be in relationships.
Wow.
Because if you can't get away from that person, if you can't disconnect from that person, if you can't break away from that person emotionally, that's trauma.
Oh,
because now you're having to live in something that is making you miserable, that is not bringing you joy. A relationship that should be helping you and giving you benefits is subtracting from you and reducing you.
Wow.
He needs to pack up his bags and go for just his mental health and emotional health. He needs to pack up his bags, call Tyrone, come pick me up. I'll sleep on the couch for his mental and emotional welfare.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of times when we get into relationships, and this is true for many of us, a lot of times when we get into relationships, the other person, or even we might even think this way as well, the other person thinks that once I've got this particular person and they're with me and I'm with them and we going along or whatever like that, that's it. This is a lock. That you can't go nowhere else. You can't be with nobody else.
Yeah.
I'm the only one for you forever. That's it. And it's nice to think that way to some extent. But the problem with that comes in where we think that they don't have any other options. And as a result of thinking that way, we take them for granted. We begin to neglect them. We begin to not consider them. We don't appreciate them. We don't think about them. We're not thoughtful when it comes to looking at them.
Yeah.
And so now they're no better than they're no better than an accoutrement or something that we bring along, an accessory, if you will. Okay. And so now that you've been reduced to that level, they don't think you have anywhere else to go. They don't think that you have any other options in your life but to stay where you are. But again, like I said from the beginning of my statement, to remain in that situation brings on emotional and mental trauma.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now you gotta here's my advice to that dear brother. Here's my advice. You need to break out. You need to escape.
Yeah.
You need to get out from under where you are, because it's obvious to me just from hearing this part of the story.
You don't appreciate him. You don't appreciate him.
They don't appreciate. He doesn't appreciate
him. Yeah.
So all that he has done, all that he has invested, all that he's given, the energy, the time, the thoughtfulness in terms of what he's done for her to help her move into this particular place, she doesn't consider him. She does not appreciate him. He needs to pick up his bags and run for the hills. Here's the contingency, Charles. The reality is that you don't think I'm worth anything, so you treat me like anything.
Wow.
You don't give me any value, so you don't. I'm valueless to you. And so I'm just out here in the wind. I have nobody. You need to pack your bags, because the moment somebody treats you like that, they don't consider you. They reduced you down.
Yeah.
Your contingency, if we're going to talk about contingency, is the fact that you're not treating me what I know that I'm worth.
Yeah.
You're not giving me the appreciation that I know that I'm due. So if that's the case, I'm hitting the bricks. I'm kicking rocks. I'm out this joint. I'm gone. Because I know what my value is. I know I'm worth, and I'm worth more than what you're giving me right here. So many of us have been in and are in relationships that are just like that, where people have taken us for granted. They are taking us for granted, yet they neglect us.
Yes.
They don't meet us where we are. We're not satisfied with them. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're just there. Now, having said that, there needs to be a conversation that is had.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. If you are unwilling to appreciate me and give me the value that I'm worth, I got to go.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm not going to sit here and allow myself to be reduced to this manner. I'm not going. I'm not.
I told him. That's exactly what I told him today. You got to have a conversation. But I said, but the last thing I said before I got out of his chair, I said, I'm only saying all this to you because you open up the door and you're talking about it. But I said, but the thing you don't want to do is, I said, don't allow your good to become sour. I said, because just me meeting you, even though it's like he's very forthcoming, he gonna speak his mind, whether it's like he speak his mind, right? I can respect that. He's forthcoming, he's honest, he's just gonna say what it is. And so I told him, I said, so those are good qualities. And I said, and if you are a carer and a giver, the one thing I always talk about people that are givers, you absolutely have to know who's loving you when you're a giver. Because if you're a giver, givers just can't be anywhere, because a giver will get in somewhere and become annihilated in today's world. If you're a giver, people will use you from one side of the world to the other and will continue. You'll hear you all with your good heart. I just was looking out for you. You look in somebody else's eyes, you look weak, and they're gonna take the wrong person. That's why I said users have to make sure, like, even though we all are lonely, we all can desire relationship and marriage and all those things. But if you know you got the kind of heart that's set apart than the norm, you have to be set apart than the norm with who you allow in your space. Because if you don't, this is half the people in the world today that are out here and really on the subject of what we're talking about. Most of the contingent lovers are the lovers who can't rationalize the way they give and the way they love, and they don't feel it in return. So because they feel like, and sometimes I had to tell people in conversations I've had in the past, that's a blessing that you love that way, but you can't get mad if someone else don't love you the same.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you're only you. You're your unique self. So
Right.
everyone is not going to think like you, love like you, be considerate like you. All of those things have empathy like you. Great. It's a good thing. So what you need to find is a person that can not only appreciate those things that you have, but compliment them. But you can't expect a twin. You know, I know we talk about these songs, twin, where have you been in the womb? Because you're not going to find it out on the streets. But anyway, so I'm saying you can't, I'm just saying that you don't need a twin. You need a complement to who you are. That's what makes us better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think too, again, that honestly is a conversation that should have been had from the beginning of those first steps in that relationship. I remember having that conversation with my wife early on in our dating process. That was, we were talking about, well, how do you do this? How are you in relationships? Are you 100%er? Are you a 90%er? Are you an 80%er? In terms of what you give, because the reality is like you said, Charles, everybody doesn't love in the same way. Everybody doesn't love, on the same wavelength as you would. Everybody's love language is not the same.
Yes,
so
correct.
I think along with that, we have to understand that even though we might not necessarily speak the same language, the same love language, I still need to be able to understand what your love language is, so that when we do communicate, you're not talking in Farsi and I'm talking in Spanish. We need to be able to talk on the same level so that we can understand one another, so that we can get it. And so and my wife was talking about, yes, she remembers the conversation. Yes, we had that conversation. And the response to her, so she was asking me, how do I love? Is it half, is it whole? And I'm like, I'm 100% all the way in. And again, I say this from the beginning of the show, because that's the way that I am. That's the way that I'm wired. I'm not expecting anybody else to do that. Understand? Okay. But that's how I am. I give it all the way. I'm willing to risk it all. Hopefully that it'll pay off. You know what I'm saying? But everybody, again, I understand that everybody can't do that. So we have to come to an understanding and an agreement where we understand how much each of us are giving. Now, let me say this. If you're getting into a relationship and you are getting into it from a transactional perspective, hear me real good, brothers and sisters, you are going to lose every single time.
Wow.
Because relationships cannot be based on just transactions in terms of getting and receiving. I get, you receive, you get, I receive, you give, I receive. It can't just be based on our transaction of mutual exchange or even reciprocalness in terms of giving to each other. Because the reality is, if I'm in relationship with you, I'm in relationship with you because I want to give to you. I'm not operating out of obligation. I'm not operating because I feel like I have to. I'm not operating because I'm trying to get something from you, but rather I want to give something to you. This is how I walk into a relationship. And this is how I believe that relationships benefit the most. Because when we both walk in wanting to do the absolute best in this relationship, then that's what we'll get out of it. But if I withhold, now let me just kind of put this in context. I'm not saying that from day one you give everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that through the passage of time, as we progress through this relationship, then I learn how trustworthy you are, which then allows me to release to you through time all of me. So I don't give it all at once, but through the passage of time, I learn to give myself to you in percentages until I get to 100%. You see what I'm saying? That's how you work that. That's how you do that. At least that's a healthy way to do it. If you get it all at one time, is ridiculous because I couldn't take it all at one time. I don't want it all at one time. That's too much to digest in one sitting. But if you give me a monthly plan where we can work on this from month to month, and I can take it in bite-sized pieces, then I can work with that better than you giving it to me all at one time.
Yeah, man, it's like so. I am of the belief that if you want people to come higher in these relationships as you're moving along, then you have to be bold enough to show them higher from your perspective. Okay. You know, we can't, it's like we are in this age now where we expect people, whether we're married, been married before, older, whatever the case, we expect people to just get it. Like we're saying, now you ought to know this, Adam. I shouldn't have to tell you how to treat me. You do, because you're not who I've been with in the past. Exactly. You're different. Yeah. Every person is different. And I don't care what some people say. This is one of the things that irritates me the most. Well, I'm used to being treated like that. Clearly not, because you're still single. So don't tell me how you're used to being treated if that treatment still rendered you single. So that's not a bar to hold up nowhere. I'm used to somebody doing this and that. All of those wonderful things still didn't work. So we're back at ground one. So this is why I say, if you want someone to be a certain way to you, dare to be different. Try something different. Try risking it. And that's on both sides. You know, it is a scary thing. I'm not going to lie to you. Risking you on behalf of love is scary. But it is rewarding if you find that your risk was like, wow, we both jumped out there and we both are here. Right? That's a great feeling. But to feel like no one wants to feel like somebody is sitting back with a pen and pad, watching what you do and don't do and checking it while they don't do anything.
Right.
Don't sit up with this list and watching how proactive or not I am, but while you're not doing anything. Like the old song said, it takes two to make a thing go right. Period. It takes two people to ignite that flame to get it going. Other than that, it just can't be. Long gone are the days of a person sitting there and just saying, if you like me or if you're interested in me, I'll sit back and watch as you show me. Listen, this is the day where that's not going to fly, because you got I'm only using Bruce as an example here. Bruce could have that conversation with someone, and somebody could say, well, Bruce, I need you to just show me. And Bruce is like, listen, then I just tell you I'm dating. I'm talking to 20 people. Right? I'm talking to 20 people in the inbox. I'm just making an example. What is unique about you? That's what the point I'm getting to. And if you're just telling someone to show you in a dating example, 9 times out of 10, I'm exhausted to show you. Because I'm spread around like most people are doing. They're dating and talking and talking. You're exhausted. So nobody has time for all those extra gymnastics. That's why I say it's best for you to put out there what you want. Put it out there so that person can say, you know what? I like that risk, because we're not necessarily what gets the person to the altar is not what they present. It's what we see by way of risk. If I see your risk, now I'm like, you rocking with me, so I can rock with you. I don't care how you look or what you saying or curve this. Been there, done all of that. I'm talking about, where is your risk in this? None of that other stuff don't matter. Like all of this stuff that we go through and we get ourselves hung up on. What's attractive to a man is when he see, and this has nothing to do with nobody being desperate or looking like a pick-me. No, it is saying you're bold enough to risk it all for what you want. And if a guy has some good in him and he's not out to be an opportunistic to take advantage, he's going to meet you where you at.
Right.
That's just flat out. And so we got to understand, just like the women have all these suitors, the men got all them suitors. So how do we get through the mess if all we're going to do is be trepidatious and have all these contingencies?
Right.
I mean, just like you want us to go all out, we could, if we want to be vulnerable and honest, men can be just as afraid to get hurt and play like the next one.
Yeah.
Do you know all women have to do, walk out their door, go to the mailbox. Ben, how you doing, Miss Lady? I ain't seen you on time, bro. I mean, hey, so how that car running though? Oh,
right.
So you still need me to do that stuff in the house for you? Anything, women can go to the store, anywhere the woman go, and don't let her put it on, and she get put on and she go out. It's a wrap. So my point is, this is just women that's in dating and relationships. Forget about, even on the married, it steps up even more when the woman is married or in a close relationship. Now the person is masking themselves as your close friend. Remember, I got you. If you need anything, I got you. Don't worry about that. Oh, Adam, good. Tell Adam I said what's up. You don't want to tell Adam you said what's up. You put Adam's women. Stop the crap. Like I always tell people this. Men don't put themselves on a waiting list to be somebody's valet that they would like to lay. They don't do that. Ain't no man gonna be 24/7 valet to be there emotionally when she needs them, when he know he wants to lay. What kind of guy that looks good? He has all this house, he got all this stuff to himself, but when you call him at 3:00 in the morning, what's going on with you? My car broke down. Guess what? Send me the location. I'll be there in 5 minutes. That don't happen. He's somewhere else with somebody else. So if he's taking the time to do all of these things, there is an intent behind it. Because men just don't do that just to be doing it. We're not giving you no front row passes to favors and emotional shoulders for nothing. Period. Point blank. Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest things we fall for. We get into these tricks with these people that we allow space in our life. And it could be the minutest relationships, but people aren't people. One thing I had to learn, nobody wastes their time just because. They're there for a purpose. You don't know how many times people have invited me to do this, come and do this, be on this show, do this, that, and the other. When I'm all like, oh, okay, thanks. But at the end of it was an intent. Let's just call it what it is. Nobody is thinking of you, considering you, inviting you for nothing. Listen, if you want to impress me, invite me with a check. Now I'm saying, now you're putting your money where your mouth is. You're saying, I need you for such and such service, and this is what I'm going to pay you. Whether you're wanting something else or not, you're at least about the business of being business. But don't get on here with the whole Bruce and Charles. No, you're doing this because you want something. Let's just keep it a buck. We all are grown. You're not befriending us for nothing. You're not using us for nothing. You want something. So we got to stop playing all of these games out here, which are making this world worse. And this is why everybody is so contingent, because nobody wants to take the risk with all of the buffoonery we see happening. You understand what I'm saying? Every day.
No, I get what you're saying. So that kind of leads me to a question to ask, and I think this is something that we all need to consider in our own personal lives is are we too jaded to risk anything? Are we too jaded to risk ourselves when it comes to being in relationships? Because the fact of the matter is, if I'm walking into a relationship with my go bag already ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what a go bag is. It's that bag that you have.
The overnight
bag that you already
ate your bag in the trunk.
Right. It's your survival bag just in case things go to the left real fast. I got my go bag, so I'm ready to go. So my question is, are we too jaded to risk anything when it comes to relationships? Because a lot of us are walking into relationships not prepared to risk anything.
Correct.
Waiting for the other person to show us all that they have, while we kind of sit there and go, okay, all right, I see that, blah, 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 blah. And when things don't go the way that we want them to go, I got my go bag. It's time
That's
to go.
it. and that is the culture today. The culture is, I'll start out on this walk with you, but the minute I see one red flag, hear one thing wrong, if you're on the phone with your baby mom too long, I'm out of here. I'm blocking you. That's the mindset. It's like you sit back and be like, what are people expecting today from somebody that you're just meeting, getting to know, moving through life with together? Everybody has their own things that they're dealing with. And to answer your part about the jaded part, most people, if they're honest, they have somewhat of a jaded history. Some people are just a little more apt to get back on the wheel a little more. And so I'm gonna go on the fence to even say this. And I'm not trying to blow the horn for the men. But it takes men longer to get back up than it does women. Women, I'm gonna say this. Although women, I believe, here's the thing. Women take most of the relational piercings like a champ, and they get right back up and get back in line for love again. And that's because women have a greater support circle. Not only that, but women, I mean, let's be honest. God gifted women the gift of dealing with pain. They give birth to children. So the point is, this is why a lot of times women, listen, I'm going to be honest, and Bruce, you have to back me up on this one. As many men can be out here saying, I'm on the block, I'm a player, I'm doing this, that, and the other, I got this one and that one. All it takes is for your woman to say, well, I was just with Jerry one time. Look, you tell a man one time, he could have been on the block for years cheating up a storm. But if he come home to his woman that he loved and she tells him that she gave herself to somebody, the sky is falling. So I'm only saying that to say the reason we hurt and we deal with pain the way that we do, because there's so many elements mixed into our being. And so we already deal with men deal with inadequacies. Men deal with insecurities. Men deal with the alpha beta conversation. They deal with all sorts of things. They deal with am I covering enough? Am I making the home or this relationship secure enough? Am I respected? Am I blah blah blah? Am I a good parent? Am I a good leader? All of these things collapse when a man's reality implodes. And his reality in most cases is, I'm loving this person, so she's not doing this. She's not going to do it. I'm loving her. I'm giving all of me. So when we find out about it, whenever those times happen, man, it's like, that's why I don't care if any women can tell you on this live. If you've ever been in a relationship, in a marriage, and a guy found out anything about something you did, he did not take the argument the same. I guarantee it. Right. He took the argument a whole different direction once he found out you did it.
Okay. So what I would propose in regards to what you just said, and in regards to the question I asked about being jaded, is the fact that if we are honest with ourselves, and we need to be honest with ourselves, is the fact that our past trauma has dictated our present moves, which means we have suffered such profound negative relationship experiences.
Yes.
It has made such a mark on us where we're moving into relationships based on what happened to us, based on what she did or what he said, based on how they treated us. We're using this past trauma almost as a filter on a camera to view and navigate relationships, which means this is the reason why we have a contingency plan, because we're already expecting the relationship to go down. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. That's why I already have my go bag prepared. That's why I already have my passports to different countries with different identities on them already ready. That's why I have stacks of money in my bag, because when it goes down, and it's going down, I'm already ready to go. And that is part of the problem when it comes to the whole idea of contingency, because now we're already expecting the worst. Yeah. We're already looking for the iceberg to come hit our ship and bring us down so that we can escape to the next place. But if you're going to really have a chance at any success in a relationship, you have to really get that trauma dealt with. You can't continue to allow your past negative experiences with other people to steer you into places that are going to continue to fortify that idea that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. At some point in time, you have to reconcile these things within yourself. Not every bad situation is actually bad. Yeah. Often our worst failures are the things that teach us what not to do the next time around. It's not so that you can use that failure as your badge of honor to say, well, this is why I always get what I get because this is what always happens to me. No, what that failure should be doing is you should be teaching you, okay, don't do this, don't do that. They shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be doing that. So when you walk into the next relationship, you know exactly what it is that you're looking for. Wow. Don't allow your past traumas to dictate your present moves. If we don't get nothing else out of this conversation, that ought to be it right there.
Wow. Man, hey, so let's look at it. That was profound. Let's look at it like this. Mm-hmm. It is realistic in this hour to know, like, to assume when you are encountering someone new, a love interest, or even in your relationship or marriage, when there are situations that have been unspoken of. Like sometimes we're married to people that they haven't all the way shared the pain and resentment in their heart from the past. Yeah. Some people have a gift of loving forward. They don't acknowledge what's behind them. They just love forward, right? And it's difficult because you could be with someone and you're loving them according to how you met them and where you met them from that point on, not realizing that some of those things that they are withholding or have not told you, because they might say, well, that's not important. That was such and such years ago. It's very important if it affects how you treat me now, right? So that's why it's important to have those conversations where you sit down. And you ever seen one of the most beautiful things I've seen when you look at them animal videos is when you see how the chimpanzees or gorillas, they do what they call pruning. They prune one another at the same time. They picking in, they looking on, in other words, they're looking over, licking one another's wounds. So in the reality of today, people need to be humble enough to say, oh, you got a cut right there? Don't worry, I got you. I saw you got a cut right there too. Oh, I did too. Look, share in that moment so that you can grow out of it. Because sometimes, too many times, we're coming forward and one person is sharing their wounds. And you know what the other person is saying? I saw that wound a month ago. It ain't healed yet. Everybody's involvement in healing takes time, right? I always tell people, as much as I love yellow cake with chocolate icing, I don't ever want a cake to rush through the oven and come out gooey and hard. The stuff's still in there. The batter still haven't broken down or none of that, simply because I couldn't wait to eat it. I would rather let it sit until it simmers and it is ready for consummation, rather than me just sitting there and rushing it. And so as it is in the world, some of us, we want what we want so bad that we overlook someone's wellness to get there. You don't ever want to rush anybody's wellness. It doesn't matter how much you think it should have changed by now or you should be better. If you wasn't there at the point of that destruction, you can't speak on how you think somebody should be better.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Period, point blank. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, man. Again, I just think we need to understand, if we're going to move into these relationships like we want to, that we desire to. I think another thing that we should probably consider is how much do we want them to give. And that's also it is to some degree predicated on what you give or how much you are willing to give. Because you don't want it to be where they're giving it all and you're not giving anything, and you don't want to be giving it all. And then we need to come to some understanding that we ought to be doing this mutually. And again, my giving is not out of obligation. It's not me being transactional. I give because I want to give, not because I'm being forced to give or being made to give.
Yeah,
my giving is a product of my love and commitment to the relationship, because I want it to be the best it can possibly be. And as a result of that desire, I want you to be the benefactor of that thing. I want you to receive what I have to give. So I don't give it because I want to get. I give because I just want to give. And that's the way a relationship should be. If you think about it in terms of, and I don't want to reduce it down to this point, but I think it's a good example between a parent and a child. That child, when it comes into the world, hasn't done anything.
Wow.
The only thing that it's done is that it's come into this world. That's the only thing that has happened. It's been brought into this world. But what that parent does for that child is not contingent upon what that child does. You see what I did there? Wow. What that parent does for the child is not contingent upon what that child has done. Yeah. It's because of the love that that parent has for the child. The same should be true for the love that we have for one another. My love is not transactional. It's not a you do for me, I do for you. No, it's a I do for you because I want to do for you. Now, what do you do for me? I'm hoping and praying that you do.
Yeah.
I'm hoping and praying that there's a return on this. But if not, that does not diminish my love for you. That does not reduce my love for you. That does not subtract from my love for you. I'm going to love you regardless. I'm going to be committed to my relationship regardless. I'm going to be faithful in my relationship regardless of what you do. And it's where what I do evokes a response. It provokes a response from you, because I'm not doing it to get from you, but because I am doing it, you're going to have a response to it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. You know, further, I know we're at the end of the show, but I thought of something, and Adam, you may agree with you may concur with this, but there is a passage in the scriptures that I often read that reminds me of what we are against today, and why it's an excellent scripture that curtails the behaviors of this age that we're living in. And that is, in your own time, you read 2 Timothy chapter 3. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Adam, you know it talks about the perilous times. And it talks about the behaviors of people in this. So it was prophesied in that day as to what the world will look like today. Now, they got all these versions of, you can read it, but if you really want to get it in its raw form, search it in the King James Version, and you're going to see what it says. It's very interesting. It'll tell you the personalities of people, the attributes, the traits, all of the things that we are now seeing it'll arm you to say, wow, this isn't by happenstance. So let me find those scriptures for me to be able to get to where I need to be so that I can weather these people, because they're out here. So we got to get our relationship.
You might as well just read it and say it real quick. What is it? Say it.
Oh, man, come on. All right, I'm going to read on tonight. I'm going to read. Okay, so
I'm going this far. Just say it. What is it real quick?
Okay. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, meaning braggers, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. This all this freak-offs. Without natural affection.
You know what?
Truce breakers. They're not loyal. False accusers, liars, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. Let me read that again. Despisers of those that are good. All right. Traitors, heady, high-minded. They think they like that in Southeast terms, Bruce. They think they like that. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. Now, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lust, even ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And then it talks about, and there's also a part in there where it talks about people waxing worse. As time goes on, that means the versions of people that we come across are not getting better. So the people that you may have loved or fell in love with 10 years, you meet them 10 years later, they got 10 years of conundrum attached to them. It's different. They have a different waxing. So if you think wax makes you think from a position of stillness. It's like you're treading but not moving. It's like you're being wax is the pressure applied to hold you still. So if you're not changing, then you're getting the wax applied to you. So we got to think about this in this day and time that we're living. The people that when we're meeting these people, I know it's great to have the white picket fence thought and he's just gonna come and I'm gonna have this fabulous Instagram wedding. Well, you better have a fabulous Instagram prayer life, because you're not going to be meeting these kind of people like you think. And if you do meet them, you have to check the intentions 10 times over, because that intent today is something else. So be careful and just know that everything that looks good is not human. Some of it is wax. So be careful in your looking. All right. Now tonight, now those of you that are
see, now you're about to mess up. Now you're about to mess up.
All right. No, I appreciate y'all for tuning in today for sure. You know what? We didn't even know. I'm gonna have to thank the barber guy, because I wasn't even going to go this direction with the show. I had a whole different script. But when I thought of him, because he was on my mind today, when I thought about how I realized this made me concerned for men. And this is why I can appreciate what I see Bruce do sometimes. Bruce, he has a group of men rather, and they get together and they just hold each other up. Wow. It's just a thing. It's just, I don't know all that they do, but what I do see is them coming together and they hold each other up. And so when I thought of the guy at the barbershop, when he came to me and when he was just speaking to me the way he was, and I was just like, I only known the guy a little over a month, right? But the point is, he came to me and he just started rambling off about it. But that told me, men, we don't have a lot of outlets. Yeah. So if we have them, wherever you're able to get them, take them and cherish them, because we do a lot of pain in the closet. and we don't say a word, but we be disrespected, objectified, and some more, and don't say a word about it. But it got to come out somewhere. Bruce said it's like a forge. Yeah, I seen that. That's cool. Yeah, all right.
It's just the reality is, a lot of men are silent sufferers. They don't talk about their trauma. They don't talk about the emotional upheaval. They don't talk about their mental anguish that they go through. And often it's because of relationships that men go through these type of things, and they don't talk about it often. And so whenever a brother comes to me and they want to talk about it, I'm all ears. You got to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And as much as we want them to engage in getting some counseling and some therapy, sometimes the closer they're going to get to that, is by talking to another brother. Yeah. By being able to share and pour out of their heart where they are. And it's important for us other brothers to help them, to strengthen them. When thou art converted, go strengthen thy brother. It's important that we do that as men. I'm not trying to make this a men-centric podcast, but I'm just saying it's important that men have that outlet. Women have it naturally. They've been taught that from the time they come into this world. Men, on the other hand, haven't been taught that, but now we're coming to the realization that we need to talk about what's going on the inside. We can no longer hold on to it and suppress it within ourselves because it's causing damage to us. Now we need to begin to talk about that. And so if we're talking about it now, our sons will talk about it later, and their sons will talk about it then. And so it's important for us to be able to express this stuff in a form that will actually help us and heal us.
That's what's up, man. All right.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Well, much love to y'all. We will definitely catch you all next week, 4:30 Central Standard Time, same channel. Until then, I guess we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Oh, here we go. Now this is the time for this. Okay.
Oh, no. What? No.
Yeah. So, all right. So, just to take it back, to loop it back really quickly. If you want something great in this stratosphere of relationships, love, you want someone to match your energy, to come correct, be serious, not playing, all of these things. We both have as men and women, we are both charged with the responsibility of putting our sincere best foot forwards, not your silent hidden foots, your best foot. People can only judge and receive you based on what you're showing. So if you're giving minimal effort because somebody did something to you, or like Adam said, because you're jaded, you're not being fair in the exchange. And all people can ask for today is a fair exchange. Whatever that looks like, let's give it together. Let's not look for this switch up and you give enough, you giving 10, I'm giving 2. Let's be fair about it. And then if that doesn't work after a fair exchange, then you can say we gave it a fair chance. But if you know you're not giving it a fair go at it, don't be selfish. Be fair in this whole thing before you go putting up these contingencies and all these things. It's not good.
You know what? Too, let me just add to that. Just something that just came to my mind. I think when we walk into relationships, we have this idea, or at least here lately. It didn't used to be this way, but here lately, we've had this idea where it's 50-50. You get 50, I get 50. But but the reality is that it's not 50-50. We would like for it to be 50-50, but it's not 50-50. And what I mean by that is often, sometimes somebody's given 90 and then somebody's given 10, but then it flips up and then somebody's given 60 while somebody else is given 40.
That's true.
So depending on where that relationship is will determine how much somebody gives. Now, having said that, that does not disqualify us from being in relationship with one another. Just because you might be given 60 and I might be given 40 doesn't mean that we can't be together. It just means at that particular point in time, you're doing more, I'm doing less. Because there's going to come a time when I do more and you do less. And so we need to be flexible and adaptable enough to be able to say, you know what? Your 40 is good. I got 60. I'm going to cover the rest of it. Bam, we're good. We're good.
Wow.
Because that's real life. That's real life. It's never going to be a perfect 50-50 between the two of us. That's not reality. The reality is you at some point in time, you're going to give more, I'm going to live less. And at a later point in time, I'm going to give more and you're going to give less. So here's the thing. I got to have enough grace within me to cover the deficit. That's where we're at. And if you have enough grace to cover my deficit, then we can cover one another.
That's good. Now, that point, amazing point. Now, are you speaking of that from marriage or relationship?
I'm talking relationship, period.
Okay. I didn't know. I wasn't sure if you were saying, because I know I've heard it that way when it talks about marriage, when they're saying sometimes it's not going to always be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 90-10. So I was only saying that because I know that in the relationship realms, people will say that. They'll be like, well, I'm not your wife or your husband. So they're putting a ceiling to what they're willing to give.
Right. No, but I believe that's applicable to every relationship that you're in. I really do, because the reality is we aren't always able to give as much as we want to give, but we give what we can give.
Yeah.
And the hope is that the person that we're in relationship with has enough grace to cover the deficit of what we cannot give.
Well, that's facts.
You see what I'm saying? So
that's facts. Yeah. All right. Well, that's some good stuff. All right. Well, people
say the best to last. Say the best to last, yo. Yeah.
Well, let me see if I can mess it up.
But you know what?
I'm just playing. All right.
But listen, here's my grace to you. Here's my grace.
Don't try to mess it up. Don't try to mess it up. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to cover it.
Oh, gosh. All right, y'all. Well, be safe and hope you all got something out of this. And, maybe one of these days, my barber said he's going to come on there. We're not friends on social media, but he said he wanted to come on the podcast. So we're going to, don't y'all tell on me and tell him what I said. But anyway,
I'm not even going to play no games. I'm going to tell you.
All right, man. Until next time, be blessed, everybody. All right.
Peace.